views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Let me be your lighthouse so I can show you the way. Let me be your shining light, I'll keep you from drifting away. I'm the one that makes you try when...
My name is Patty Hunter. This is Patty's Page, coming to you via my home studio on Zoom. I'm interviewing Kate Breslin. She's an author in inspirational historical fiction. You write for Bethany House Publishers.
Yes. Yeah, they're a division of Baker Publishing, and they're in Minneapolis, or that Minneapolis area.
Is it a self-publish or?
It's what they call an imprint. Baker Publishing is it's a group of, they have a lot of different imprints that they like. They have Bethany House, Revell, Chosen. Okay, so there's quite a few out there. If you're familiar with Jeanette Oak and Beverly Lewis,
Yes.
They all write for Baker Publishing. Yes. Let's see. I was born in along the east coast of Florida, back in the year the Sputnik went up. Okay, so that shows you how old I am. And I was raised all over the place. My dad had a defense contract. I worked defense contracts with a military contractor. So we had to move every year. And so I grew up in Mississippi, Maine, Ohio, California a couple of times. And we actually moved here to Washington State back in the 60s, and we were here for 4 years. And so I think that's one reason I came back here. I just remember we actually got to stay in one place for a while because that was kind of tough on us. And the beautiful mountains and evergreens. So
Evergreen.
yeah, so I came back, and actually my brother, I have a brother 2 years younger than I am. He lives about an hour away from me. And our youngest brother lives in Florida, because we eventually did go back there, and I finished high school, and he lives with my mother.
So as you were growing up, who influenced you the most or mentored you or whatever?
My mother.
I
She taught me that I could be anything I could dream. She was independent. She is, I should say, still. She's going to be 93 in a few days, and she's still going like gangbusters.
She's 20 years older than this old girl here.
Oh, yeah. And
Hey.
she's still going strong, And she always, she didn't have a lot of, she didn't go to college, but she's so clever, and anything she put her hands to, she could do. She was just very gifted. Crafts, sewing, painting. She even got a job at NASA and worked out by the rockets.
Did you go to college or university?
I took some college courses, but basically I just learned from the School of Hard Knocks. I worked in construction for 20 years before, the book writing and the book selling. I worked my way up through, it was like sales and office work. I didn't wear the tools, but I worked up to management. And then some things happened with where I worked. The owner passed away, and so the company was basically going to close down. So I got the chance to write and to go part-time, and that's when I started working for 2 different booksellers. And of course I was in heaven, right? Working around books all day, voracious reader. And it was at the end of that period, I worked there about 15 years. And this was a time when some of the independent bookstores were closing down because of, the books you could buy online. So it worked out well for me because I got my first book contract about the time that the second place was closing down. So,
Right. E,
but
uh, e, ebook or the real deal?
my books are available in all formats. They're available in large print, normal print, ebook, paperback, hardcover, MP3, audio,
Yeah, I
and
heard that
even the
you had
first book is
audio
in Braille.
because I'm part deaf, so I like to listen.
Yes,
But,
yes, I
you
enjoy audiobooks. Yes.
know,
Yeah, they're all in MP3 or audio.
and you get more from it for some reason. When you're reading, you skip a couple, where are we?
Yeah,
And you
I
have
enjoy
trouble
it.
reading. Mm.
In fact, I have some, I'll show you my library here. Hang on.
Oh, my stars.
I have my husband built uh he built this room up here for me. Very talented woodworker. And uh yeah, there's three sides to those shelves. I worked for a bookseller. I couldn't help myself.
Speak.
Anyway, I went through and I thought, well, I don't think I'm possibly going to have enough time in my life to read all these books
Right.
because I'm busy. And when you're a writer, you're researching or you're reading books for other authors and endorsing, that sort of thing. And that's all wonderful. But so I
And for
decided
yourself.
I decided to look for the audiobooks for a lot of them, and I found them. And so while I'm gardening or walking or cooking or, doing that sort of thing, I'm listening to these books and I've listened to some wonderful books. So yes, I am totally a fan of audiobooks.
Yeah, me
Love
too.
those.
Especially for people, like you said, who have trouble seeing,
Yeah.
reading, all that sort. And you get absorb it more than actually reading the book.
Hmm. And the other thing too, when you think about how much we're on our phones or on our computers every day, it's really hard on the eyes. And so it's nice when you can just listen. Totally agree.
So, what was your first book and that was released and its title?
This was my first book.
Ah,
It's called For Such a Time.
yeah.
This book has been a journey for me, a journey. It I was
Personally?
I was coming back to my faith.
Mm,
I had been away for a long time, and I spent 20 years writing,
yeah.
and I was writing for the general romance market. I discovered historical romance, historical fiction. I fell in love with history. And after I'd read all my favorite authors, and I thank them for that, they taught me to love history because I got to feel it, how it would be if I lived in that time. It wasn't just the boring dates and numbers I got in school.
You actually lived it in your own way.
Sure, as a reader, you're experiencing
Yeah,
this history, right? And
that's right.
so when I ran out of all my favorite books by my favorite authors, I had a pretty good handle on English and grammar and some of the clerical jobs I'd had. I could type pretty well. So I thought, well, I'll give this a try. And of course, it was not as easy as I thought it would be. Took a long time. And for me, I was working full time. I had a family.
Right.
So I had other things going on. But also, as the closer I came back to my faith, and this is my story, the more I realized I questioned what I was trying to put out into the world. You
Right.
know, I wanted to put something meaningful. And so it began to bother me a little bit. And God was nudging me. He was nudging me toward inspirational. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that.
Nudge, 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 nudge.
Nudge, nudge. He did. And I reached a crossroads. And I had tried, I'd come very close. I'd gotten my first agent. I was a finalist in a national contest for one of the books I wrote that's in the drawer. And so I reached a crossroads and I I told the Lord, I would write for him. And so I had been reading the book of Esther in the Bible, which is a beautiful love story.
Yeah,
And as I'm reading it, I'm thinking, I don't know a lot about World War II, but I'm thinking I see some similarities here between Hitler's annihilation of the Jews and
right.
and you know, Herman, Haman's, trying to annihilate the Jews in the Book of Esther, and
Right.
so that was kind of the kernel that started up here. And it took me a few years to create the venue that was going to happen in, which is a real place. But I had to I had to appeal to a broad audience. So I had to read a lot of real accounts, and that was emotionally exhausting. But I was able to put that into a book that followed
Mhm.
of Esther to a sword. And
So
I
your
can't begin to
mission,
tell you, I got it done, and I remember I was in church, and I was at peace with myself, and I thought, if this book never publishes, that's okay, because I feel good about what I wrote. I
that's right.
feel good about it for the first time in a long time. And my writer friend says, "Oh, you've got to send it out." And so I sent it out, and it was just like God, boom, boom, boom. He opened all these doors for me. Boom, boom, boom. I mean,
Domino effect.
I had a new agent before I could blink. I got my dream publisher, which is Bethany House. I used to work in a bookstore and see their beautiful books and think, oh, maybe one day. And so it happened for me. And my first book came out in 2014.
Ah,
And it's called For Such a Time. And it's basically, like I said, it's a midrash. As we know, the Holocaust was not a happy ending, and Esther was triumphant. So it was kind of tricky to write the book, but it has been nominated for several awards. It's available in 5 languages. It's it's just really been a fantastic journey for me. Yeah, so this book kicked it off, and then they said, "Well, what else do you have?" And I didn't have anything,
okay.
but they gave me a 2-book contract on faith, and then I came out with this book, which is not by sight, and
I,
this is World War One. And so this book and my subsequent 5 books are all about World War One,
so
because
it's
I
a
found.
sequel to each other, right? All the
Hmm?
5 books are sequels to each other.
They're what you call connecting series. So they are standalone reads, but because each one has different characters, different place. But there is one secondary, minor character who's the same in each one. And the last book is his story.
All right.
But they're predominantly British historical fiction taking place during World War One. And there's a lot of really I enjoy the research. That's probably one of my favorite parts. And I love to find some nugget that's not well known and then expound on that, create a fictional story around it. So that I kind of pay forward what those authors did for me once upon a time. I learned I learned history without feeling like I was getting a history lesson.
It's interesting to know about the past.
Yeah.
And you notice that sometimes it repeats itself.
Yes, it does. And that's why we can't forget, especially World War II. That was pretty brutal. And then I just, I God puts a message on my heart with each book. But you did ask what my recurring theme was, and I think it's redemption.
Right on.
I know God has redeemed me, and I think a lot of people feel that way, and it's nice. It's just nice to come back to that and feel that redemption. So,
How many books have you done over the years then?
well, it takes me about, because of the history, it takes me about a year to a year and a half to write a book.
Right.
And then once it goes to my publisher, they're very good about making sure it's picture perfect when it goes to the readers. So it goes through a series of edits, and then they do the covers, they do beautiful art, uh, the marketing and all that. That takes another year. So basically, it's a year after I turn the book in that it actually comes out in print. So let's see, it's been about 10 years for me, and I've got 6 books. So that's about,
High five, girl.
thank you. Thank you. And I've got 2 in the drawer that one day I might redeem and dust off. But I've got ideas for 3 more right now. So
Hmm.
I'm working on those,
Are you
and they'll
working on
probably
one
be World
now?
War One as well. Hmm?
Sorry. Are you working on one now?
Yes, I'm working on this time it's going to be another connecting series. I like that. I like how they can connect, but they don't really need to. So it gives me kind of a lot of latitude there. Because if I come up with some really great history that I want to write about,
Sure.
then I can,
Expand.
yeah, I love it. So
So In Love's Time or something like that.
yeah, that's my latest one. That's
Is that being released yet? Yes, it has.
yeah, this one came out in December of 2022, so I haven't had anything out for a couple of years, but this is Marcus's story. He's the connecting character in each of the books, each of the World War I books.
This Marcus, what's his character then?
Marcus Weatherford, and he works for MI5, MI6 British intelligence.
Ah, one of those
That
spots
was actually started in 1909
before my
in
time.
Britain. Big spies, And
Before,
all
before
my books
mom.
have intrigue because I was a Nancy Drew fan. Oh, I loved
Same
Nancy
here, girl.
Drew and Trixie Belden and Agatha Christie. Oh, I loved mystery. And
Yeah,
so they all have some intrigue in them woven in and they're romance, but they're also, like I said, they're clean romance. And I focus a lot on action adventure. Men like my books too, because there's a lot of
that's
military
cool.
stuff. They're not totally girly. I feel like I was called to write. It's kind of, it took me 20 years to get published. And now I've been 10 years published. And
That's so
I'm
beautiful.
just ready to keep going.
Yeah. That does keep you going. It's like therapy and it's like sharing and yeah, embracing. I've been in writing poems and lyrics since 1985. I have several songs out sung by other people. Even I write the lyrics. I write the lyrics. Anyways, the song. I don't sing, thank God. But other people have sung for me around the world, and that's beautiful, It's really great to hear it in music. Like a single. One was done in Godspeed. Godspeed, My Love is called. It was sung by Patricia Conroy, Canadian singer. Up,
Mhm.
well, I'm from Canada, but she sang it for me in Nashville.
Oh, nice.
It's a beautiful song. So, I mean, what's for the future, my dear? What's for the future?
Well, more stories. And I think, I'd like to pass on to anybody who's listening that if you have a dream, follow it.
That's right.
Don't give up. I can't tell you how many times I cried and got rejected and sat back down and, you know, wrote wrote some more and edited some more and I don't feel like any of that was wasted time because when I decided to write what God wanted me to write, I had all the tools. They were already there. And
Oh,
I wrote a story that I think mattered instead of, what I might have written. And just don't give up.
do
If
you
you give
find
up, it's over.
I don't, it's
Yeah.
never over.
I have a quote from keep it on I have a little message board here. I have a quote and I happen to like this quote. It's from Harrison Ford, the actor Harrison Ford.
Me cute.
You know how popular he is. He
Yeah.
says, I realized early on that success was tied to not giving up. If you simply didn't give up, you would outlast the people who came in on the bus with you. Right?
I am.
You just keep going and you get there.
There's a poem. If you're having trouble, keep it going. I don't know if you ever heard that one,
Keep
but
it going and just pray that's what, I prayed a lot too, that God would give me my dream. And I believe he did. I
you
believe
have collaborators.
yes,
Yes.
I have human collaborators, and I've got God on my shoulder here.
So, do we know any of the collaborators?
Oh, I am sure you do. I am, in fact, the woman that endorsed this book for me is Debbie Maycomber,
No?
and other writers like well, Susan Wiggs and Sheila Roberts.
Sheila Roberts, I know.
You know her, yeah, and she writes great. Yeah, they're good friends of mine, and just several others. Like I said, I'm really blessed to be. We have a lot of writers up here in Washington State.
I noticed that.
Yeah. We tried to figure out
Political,
why we have
remember.
so many writers. I think because it rains up here so much.
Oh, my
We
stars.
stay indoors and we write. See,
Well, here in Fort Wayne, it's a city of churches. It stars.
you have a lot of churches there.
Yeah, boy. Roman
Wow.
Catholic, Protestant, Lutheran, whole 9 yards of anything and everything sort of thing. So it's very cultural, this town.
Is it?
Arts and what would you like to share with my audience to encourage them, really encourage them to follow their dreams? Never give up, I know, but that's what we've talked before. How did you, when you came up against, bang against the wall kind of thing?
No. Well, the adversary doesn't want us to write about God or pass his message on, so we have to keep plugging away, and we have to keep fighting the good fight, right?
God
So we do.
always wins in the end.
Yeah.
And we never give up. As long as we're alive here in the physical plane, never give up. And when we go home to heaven and all,
Mhm.
forever,
Well, we're still here because we still have something to do,
pass on
right?
to others, to help others.
We still have work to do, and we still have a purpose here. And I've had some friends that um, were ill or nursing home, and they were, it's really tough for them. And I'd say, the Lord's not done with you yet. He still has things he wants you to do. Maybe it's just to talk to somebody else or be a friend to somebody else or counsel somebody else or just be there to pray. We need prayers in this world, definitely right now. So there's
Why do
always
we
something
need
we can be doing.
prayers? From what I'm seeing around the world, we could use God ourselves. Jesus, where are you? Come down.
Yeah.
So,
He's-
for your, do you help charities in any way?
I am, uh, well, I'm in a couple of groups.
Yeah.
Predominantly, I'm very much for life
Me
and
too.
for the unborn.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, yeah. So I have a website. Oh, by the way, just real quick, my website for my author page is katebreslin.com.
I forgot to
And
use that. Oh,
that's, and if you'd like to go to the site, if you click on the books and you scroll all the way down, you can actually it'll say read a preview, and you can actually click it. And I think you'll get like the first 10 pages or 20 pages of the books. I always like to tell people, hopefully it's your cup of tea. If it's not, it's no worries, but that way they can read and see if it's something they want to read.
as they say,
And
a cup of tea, cuppa.
cup of tea, yeah, tea.
I
And I'm also with an organization called Western Washington Coalition for Life.
ah,
And I'm on the board. It's WWCFL, Western Washington Coalition for Life.org, O-R-G. We're nonprofit. And we do some pretty neat stuff. We put billboard campaigns out in Washington State, which they do not rank very high when it comes to being pro-life. And we put billboards out for, a certain amount of time, and they're thought-provoking, like one, I'll
think.
tell you that, it's like there might be a picture of a diamond and there might be a picture of an unborn child. Which one has more value? You know, those kind of things to make people just think, you know, about, gosh. And they get a lot of views from people driving by because, you know, it's the busy I-5 corridor.
Yeah.
And so we really feel like a lot of people are seeing that, and that's good. And then we also facilitate some pro-life activities, other organizations doing pro-life
March for Life,
40 Days for Life. You
40
familiar
Days
with
for
that?
Life.
Yeah, that kind of hand in hand with March for Life. Yes,
I'm
40
with
Days for
Lucy.
Life. Well, there's also an organization called Life Runners. I don't
Oh.
know if you have it out there in Indiana, but it's nationwide. And those are people that you buy a T-shirt. It says March, or it says Life Runners, and then I think it's a group of 5 or more can create a running team or a walking team, and then they walk. First Wednesdays of every month, you wear your T-shirt, and they do walks, and they wear their shirts, and they just, again, it's just being out there, being visible, being a witness to life.
In your neighborhood, you can walk around.
You can walk wherever you want, sure. And
so
that's Life Runners. And if people want more information on that, they can go to our website, and there's links that'll take them to the organizations
aye.
on
And
that.
I'm with Lutherans for Life in South.
We also,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Hello. Do tell.
We also have on our website, if anyone is interested in donating, there's a click down for that. We partner with 7 Weeks Coffee.
I know that guy. I interviewed him.
Did you? Oh, we are thrilled to be with them. We partner with them, and whoever we send through our link, our website, we get a percentage back for our organization.
Right.
And we use it toward our pro-life activities. And the way they came up with that is a baby an unborn child that's 7 weeks old is about the size of a coffee bean.
Right.
That's how they came up with 7 Weeks Coffee. And they're marvelous, and the coffee is fantastic. So we have a lot of people here who buy their coffee through there now. And so it's a win-win. They get good coffee, and they're also
decaf too.
directly contributing.
Decaf.
Yep, decaf. And they're also contributing to pro-life. So it's wonderful. So yes, I'm very, very strong with that.
I should do another interview with you, girlfriend. I love talking with you.
Yes. I've enjoyed talking with you too, Patty.
Ah. I have
so humble.
I have to split. Like, get out of here, man.
Well, it's been wonderful. And thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. And maybe next time I will have some stories to share with you.
God bless you, girlfriend.
God bless you too. Bye now.
This is Patty Hunter saying good day. And thank you, Kate Breslin, for being on my show. You're enlightening indeed. So we'll see you next week, and may God bless you.
Godspeed, my love, until we meet again. You're always in my heart and every dream. Don't let this time apart give in to all our fears. God will keep us close from up above. So until we meet again, Godspeed, my love. God is with us always, for the rest of our lives.